All right, what's good? Day 14 of the Halloween horror movie review 31 day challenge. Now, I was hesitant of seeing this one because the first one did so well and I never expected it to be that good. I saw Wreck and I already did a review on it on one of these previous days. I can't remember what day it was, but you can check it out for yourself. But I told y'all how that was a 10 out of 10. That was a really good movie. Not just horror movie, it was a really good movie. And I was hesitant. And I think I said that in the other review. I'm hesitant to see anything else after it because I believe this is one of the movies where one and done. That's it. If you want to do a new one, like remake it, start over. But this story, keep it the way it is. And there's four of them. And I'm like, should I check it out? Then I was reading the description of the second one just to see, is it the same story? Like, is it continuing or is it something else? And I realized that the second one continues right after the events of the first one. So I was like, okay. Because the person who watches a lot of movies, one thing that I get disappointed a lot in is a movie that does so well on its own and gets a sequel. I'm like recently, what was one of, it wasn't even a horror movie. What was it? Joker. Joker was so good on his own. Then, of course, WB had to, they made the second one. That second one was horrible. And it made the whole franchise for me. Like, I don't even want to watch the first one anymore. Like, that's how bad it was. But anyway, I was hesitant. But I decided to do it anyway. I said, I'll do the second one. I'll go with two. And how I feel about the second one will determine if I'll do the other one. And I'm happy to say I enjoyed myself more than I thought. Like I said, I was going in already negative about it. But I'm glad that I was disappointed. Now, is it better than the first one? No. Did they need to make this one? No. But I will give it credit on this. They at least made it entertaining. The story does start off right after the first one, where a SWAT team is going in with this with this scientist or doctor or whatever to get blood samples from someone as for a cure on this whole outbreak that's in this building. And so the SWAT team's going in, also checking to see if there's any more survivors. And now we're seeing it on their point of view, which makes it more crazier because now all the people from the first one who's been infected are now attacking them on top of other things that the SWAT team and the scientists are discovering, because also this movie reveals more secrets that's going on in this house. And that's something I want to touch on a little bit, but I'll get there in a second. So yeah, it's now a survival horror for the SWAT team. But they got weapons. They come in loaded. But I also will talk about that as well because that annoyed me. I'll get there in a second. But anyway, so that's the plot of it. Can they get in, get the sample, save whoever else is left, and get out? And on top of it, there's a surprise in here with this whole infection that the SWAT team didn't even know. So they feel like they've been betrayed and used as pawns for this situation. I'm not going to tell you what that situation is. You can watch it for yourself. And there's also this other side plot. I mean, I understood why it was there, but I think they dragged that part out too. I didn't really care much for it. It was, in a way, it was needed for the other part of the plot to happen, the main plot, but I think they dragged that out too long. But anyway, I love the fact how they made the creatures, the infected, more creepier, scarier. Like they're, climbing on walls fast. There's more of them now because of what happened in the first one. And, this SWAT team, I think it was 4 guys, are surrounding each other, trying to keep each other alive. So I like that aspect. I like the whole, it brought more intensity because you're like claustrophobic. You're trapped in these little hallways with more creatures while you're trying to survive and get this sample. I did like that intense horror claustrophobic aspect to it. I will say though, oh my goodness, this has to be some of the dumbest cops ever. And I'll put it to you this way, because it doesn't really mess up the plot. I don't get how you have these these weapons in your hands. You're geared up. You got the guns. You got the handguns. You got all this, and you see a creature coming at you, full speed, bloodied up, ready to tear you apart, and you don't pull the trigger. Bro, I was screaming at the TV like, would you start shooting? Like, why are they just looking at it? Like, they have weapons to where these creatures don't even need to be 2 to 3 feet in front of them. It seemed like every time these creatures were like 2 or 3 feet in front of them. It was like, just shoot. And I understand you're hesitant because you're wondering, is this like a civilian or infected? But when one of your men dies, little spoiler, but this kind of movie like this, you expect like the first person, like it's always going to be someone to die. When you see your man, your partner, die off of these kind of creatures, the next thing you should say is nobody's getting in front of me. Nobody. And these cops were so dumb. Even after seeing his own man die from that situation, they see another situation with the same kind of creatures. They're like hesitant to shoot. I don't get it. And you know what made it worse? There was a situation where one of those infected that was climbing up on the walls went into the roof, right? And you hear them walking in the roof. You know what they said? Let's start shooting. But just start wasting bullets on the rooftop. Oh, so you're willing to shoot when you can't see them. But when they're right in front of you, running to you, you're not pulling the trigger. I was like, who trained these guys? Like, if anything, don't shoot at them because you don't even know if you're hitting them. When they're right in front of you saying, hello, pull the trigger. I was sitting, it was a situation where one of these cops was so hesitant to just pull the trigger. Someone who wasn't even a cop said, give me this gun. But I was like, thank you. I would have done that. It's like, who trained y'all? It was like the first time you hesitate, okay, to a certain degree. But the other times, come on now. It was almost the whole movie like that. You carrying the guns for what? You just carrying them for them as weight now. Bro, it was crazy. I thought about it. I was like, it's amazing how they came in lock and loaded, and you literally can count on one hand how many times these two guys were pulling the trigger. That was insane. But like I said, the movie was entertaining enough. I could have done without this second one. That's how I feel. I'm at the middle where I'm cool with just the first one. Even with the plot of this second one, they went a little bit more supernatural this time than the first one did. But like I said, the way they made the stakes, the situation with the creatures, the surviving. They made the survival aspect so entertaining that I was like, you know what? It's passable. This is a passable movie where I said the first one, classic, amazing. I could see the first one over again. The second one, I'm like, I saw it one time and it was good. Now I will say though, there was one part that really annoyed me because they dragged that out too long. There's this side plot with these, I guess they're kids or young adults, and they have a meaning in it, but there's two sides of this movie. You see the side of the SWAT for most of the time. And then there's this other side where this other young adults got into the house, snuck their way into the house. And you see their point of view from their camera. That, first of all, that came out of nowhere. I was like, where'd this come from? That dragged on a little too long for me. I was like, okay. And then they were annoying. There was one guy, something with a T. He was annoying, bro. Just rebellious and, doing whatever he wants. Then when the situation gets serious, he want to be crying. I ain't trying to hear them tears. Look at them tears. You was already annoying enough. Your friend said, let's get out of here. You don't listen. The authority tells you to leave. You all up in their face, arguing, being annoying. Get the camera on, all this other stuff. Then when the situations get real, you want to be crying. No. Go somewhere. But I didn't even need to see all that. I think they could have, the plot that they was in, they could have done that with something else. That's just my opinion. It was a couple surprises. But honestly, I don't want to say because it's going to spoil the movie. Oops, sorry. Should I say it? All right. I'll say this little last part, and then I'm about to end the video. So if you don't want to hear this little spoiler, it's a little bit. I don't know if it's a spoiler. I'm going to say it now that we're near the end of the video. Because for those who did see it, you probably know what I'm talking about. And you probably are going to understand why I'm saying this after I explain this to you. So, little spoiler alert right now. 3, 2, 1. The movie kind of ends the same way. It's a little different, but in the same way where the first one, basically nobody survives. And now the second one, nobody survives. When you see this, that's how I felt. I was like, oh, it just did it differently. You know what I'm saying? It had more, like I said, with the supernatural part, demon possession and all that stuff. I was like, oh, when I went into the second one, I'm like, somebody must be coming out of there. Maybe someone from the first one, or it's going to be survivors this time. But no, they just added more action, different scenarios in the same situation, but the same ending result. Nobody gets out. Okay. Even after all that was going on, like I said, there's other secrets in this house or this apartment complex. You realize that I don't need to go through that part. But at the end of the day, the end result was the same as the first one. That's why I said the first one did it a lot better. So I was just like, okay, and the ending was interesting, but the result was the same. So it was just like, we're back at square one. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, it was a good watch for the action, the horror, survival aspect. I was yelling at them cops because I do not understand how you go in lock and loaded and you see a threat. Ain't no way you think that person's not there's no way you don't think that person's infected or not. Like, come on, bro. Running to you full speed, multiples of them. I did feel bad for one of the cops who was stuck in this bathroom. Whew, I felt for you, buddy. But yeah, overall it was just a good watch. I'm not going to watch the third one and fourth one because unless someone of y'all tell me in the comments that it went really well, it took the franchise into a whole different level. I'm not going to do that because this one's already. The first one was amazing. The second one definitely went to mid. It went to okay, I should say. I don't want it to keep going lower for each one I watch, and then I don't care about the franchise at all, like I did with the Joker movie. I don't want to do that, so I'm gonna pause it right here, especially since the ending's basically the same. So I was cool with the first one, but anyway, overall, it was cool. The first one was amazing. If you did not see that first one, that one was really good. Anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in to day 14. See you in 15.